Hi guys, welcome to the UI guy again. So let's say, in this chapter we'll talk about variables, and before that, so let me ask you a question. So do you think you know JavaScript, right? You know the variables. So here I created a variable with a name of small name, let name equals to Santosh, and then I created a variable with a name, but the n is capital in this case, right? So if I'll do a console log in this case, a small name and a capital name, what do you think? Will JavaScript treat all these two as two different variable, or this name will be overridden by these ranges? So let's see, let's save and run this application. As you can see, Rajesh and Santosh both are getting printed. It means that JavaScript is treating this small name and capital name as different variables. Even if you can have a different another variable, let's say like this name, and let's say bunny, whatever it is, and if I'll just print it and I'll just run this one, and you can see bunny is getting printed. So one thing is clear, that JavaScript variable names are case sensitive. All these variables names are treated as different variables. Okay, that is one thing. Next, do you know that you can create variables like this? You can have a very valid variable name, it's just a dollar, and that is a variable, and another variable can just be underscore, and that could be a valid variable name, and you could sum these two actually. And if I run this piece of code, you can see 3 is getting printed. This is also valid variable. So if you know all of this, you might know a bit of variable, but if you don't know, we'll start the variable video. Stay tuned and watch this video, right? And in case you want to know how this run button is coming up and how I'm able to run this JavaScript code over here, so for that there is this extension code runner. You can install it, and so that you'll be able to run all of these codes. That keeping that in mind, we'll start the next page of this JavaScript information, which is the JavaScript fundamentals, the variables. So as always, I have highlighted some of the portions that are important for this video, and we'll get started. So getting started with a variable. So what is a variable? So variable is basically something that holds some value, right? So for example, here a variable name was, let's go to this example, name. Name is something that can contain, that can store a name. It could be Santosh, it could be anything, right? So anything that could hold something, that is a variable in programming language mostly. And in JavaScript, how do we create a variable? We create it using this let operator, right? So I'll just remove everything. So using this let operator, I can say anything. Let's say fruit, right? I can say mango. So this is a variable. The variable name here is fruit, and I'm assigning the value mango to it, right? So basically that is a variable, and I guess everyone almost knows this. No trick in that one. And you can declare a variable like that and then assign it. So first you can say let message. So you declared a variable called message, and then you assign some value to that message, right? You don't have to write message again because you just declared it. And if you're writing like this, it is referring to the same variable that was there, right? So there you are assigning some value to it. And if you want to see the value, you just created a variable let message, and then you assign some value to it. And then if you want to see what value is stored there, you can just use this alert tag, and if you run this piece of code, it is saying that hello. It means that this piece of value, which is hello, it got stored in this message variable, and we are just showing them. I hope I'm making sense. Okay, that's cool. But we can also make this thing straightforward or simple. So we declared in one line, and in another line we assigned a value to it. But we can do all of them at a single line. We just declared a value let message, and at that point of time only we assigned a value hello to it. So and we can print that alert message hello. That is one way. You can also write multiple variables in one line. You can say let user. User is a variable, and this value is John. And then we are creating another variable, and keep in mind that here we are not writing let again, but it is in one line. That's why it will be treated that let age, let message, and like that. JavaScript compiler will do that for you. You don't have to do that manually. But this might seem shorter, but we don't recommend it. So JavaScript usually don't recommend you to do like this because this code is not much readable, right? So it's better to break this down into multiple lines. If you can see over here, we had a variable user, right? So in one line we're just writing let user equals to John, and then a semicolon, just to make sure that this line is ending. So we have read about semicolon, right? Then there is another variable age. We are again saying in the next line let age, then again in the next line let message. So also there is another way to do it. Once you can write let, and you can just do a command in the next line also, you can just write like this. It will also be treated as a variable, but it is recommended that for a clean code perspective you can mostly write like this, but this will also work. Not only this, even this will work. You can say let user equals to John, and then you can just write, give it a command age 25 and like this. This will also work, and this is also a valid JavaScript. Okay, then all this time we learned about let. We said that if you want to create a variable, you have to write it with let. But there is something as var. So var, let's say flower equals to something jasmine, let's say, right? You can do like this, but as of now we are not reading about var, and var is the old way of writing JavaScript actually. So in interviews mostly there is a high chance that you will be asked about the difference between let, var and const, but as of now let's know that we are not now learning var. So it is saying that var is just an old way, and we'll learn it in the next chapter or later chapter in the old var. So at that point of time I will cover that one, but in this video also I will give you some of the basics of the difference between let and var, right? But let's complete this article first. This is a long article on the variable sections. So it is now showing a real life analogy. So how this variable works. So what we're saying, let's say I just defined a variable let message. When I just declared a variable, a box is created, you can see. So this box is a placeholder or container, so it is ready to store something, right? Its name is message. Now sorry, now we said message equals to hello. It means that in that box or in that variable we are storing that value of hello, correct? And next we are saying that no, now this message should hold world, not hello. So what happens is, in that at that point of time earlier there was hello, so hello again, as we assigned a new variable, so we are removing hello out of that variable and just passing it to the bin, and we are saying that now you should keep the world in this one. So now you can see hello is getting removed and world is getting stored in that one. So this is a our interpretation, a good interpretation of how the variable declaration works. Okay, so now also let's see this snippet. Let hello equals to hello world. So we just declared a variable whose name is hello, and then we assigned a value to it which is hello world. Now we are saying let message is another variable. So this was one variable with a value of hello, and then we created another variable whose name is message, and now we can copy this value to this one. So we are saying that message will get this information. So this is the assignment operation. So whatever in the right side, those value will be copied to the left side. So in the right side we have hello, and the value over here was hello world, right? So this hello world will be copied to this message variable, and now this message will store this hello world. So if we now print both these, so both these will now have hello world, because hello was earlier have the value of hello world. Now that same value got copied to message. Now both these variable keeps this hello world. So if we run this program, hello world will be printed twice because both these variable keeps hello world. I hope that's pretty clear. Now it is saying that declaring the same variable twice throws an error. Let's say you have I'll show you here as well. So let name equals to, let's say, Rajesh. So I had one variable with the same name of Santosh. Now I said again name is equals to Rajesh. I can do that like this, but not like this. I cannot redeclare it. I can assign it value, but I cannot redeclare. So if I'll just say console log of name, and I will run this one. So let's see, it is saying that a name has already been declared. You cannot redeclare it, but there is a catch. If it's a old way and we are using var, and if I'll run this piece of code, you will see Rajesh is getting printed and no error, because the error was from the last one. If I'll clean this one and run this one, so you can see Rajesh is getting printed. So if I'm using var, this value of Santosh is getting replaced by Rajesh, but that's a different story. We'll learn about var in some other video. But as of now, just know that you cannot redeclare a variable whose name which you're declaring with let, right? So this is what it is saying. So then coming to the variable naming. So how you should name a variable. For example, I named it as a name. So can I say that like 1, 2, 3, 3, 4, 5? Is this a valid variable name? No. So we have some rules like how we should name the variables. So for that we're saying that the variable names must contain only letters, digits and the symbols dollar and underscore, nothing else. No other symbols are permitted. And the first character must not be a digit, because the first character here I started with a digit, that's not possible, but this is a valid name, right? So this must start with a digit. Here it is saying the first character must not be a digit. And also this one we saw in the beginning of this video, dollar and underscore, alone these dollar and underscore, they are valid names in JavaScript. And here I created a variable called let's say dollar, and I am storing the value of 1 to it, and then I created another variable which is underscore, and then I am storing another value to it which is 2, and then I am just adding those two, which is a pretty correct code, right? But some incorrect example at 1a, so we find this is incorrect because a variable name cannot start with a number. Why this is invalid? Because dash is not allowed, this hyphens, right? But underscore and dollar, those are allowed, but not this one, right? And case matters, this also we saw in the beginning. Like if you are creating two variable, one is apple with a small case and apple with a capital case, both are two different variables and both can store different values in it. Both are two different boxes, you can like think of it, right? And non-Latin letters are allowed but not recommended. So these are not English letters, you can see these are also valid variables, but it is not recommended to use them. And there are some reserved names as well. You cannot name a variable as let. You cannot do like, because let is a reserved word, return is a reserved word. So these reserved words cannot be used in variables. Why these are reserved? Because these will be used as unique identifiers. Because here let is used as unique identifier. So whenever I'm seeing a let, or whenever the JavaScript compiler is seeing a let, they'll know that okay, after this a variable name is going to come. So we cannot use that one. Those have been reserved for some different use cases. Okay, then so we're saying that if you are using like this without let, let's say I'll maybe give this an example. I'll say name equals to apple, and I'll say console log of name. So we'll see in this case I didn't use let, but is this valid? It is valid. You can see this is giving output, but only if you are not using strict, because if you'll use strict, this will give us error. If you'll use strict, let's see, strict is the new way of writing JavaScript, and I'll clean this one and I'll run this one. You can see this is giving error. It is saying that you cannot just come and write something like this. You have to say let, then only you can write variable, right? So you got that one. And also let me give you one other information. If you're writing like this, it will, the JavaScript compiler will treat it as var only, and we have not read a var yet. So as of now, just know that you have to write the variable names with let only. Being that said, now we'll move to a different types, which is constants. So like we created variables with let, similarly we can have something called const. This is apple, and I can say const let's say fruit equals to mango, and I can print that as well. I'll tell the difference, hold on. So you can see this mango is getting printed, but here let me print this as well. So I'll just give you a quick difference check between both of them. Okay, so now we are seeing apple and mango. So here, see, here I just created a variable let name equals to apple. Now I can change name equals to orange, and if I run this piece of code, in this first line orange will be printed, right? We'll see this one. You can see orange is printed for this one because apple got replaced with orange. But if you have used const keyword, you cannot change that. I cannot come and I cannot say fruit equals to or maybe cucumber, right? If I run this piece of code, it will throw me some error saying that assignment to constant variable is not possible. As this is a const, you cannot assign this one. So that is a basic thing of const. But Again, what is the use of uppercase const and lowercase const? So usually uppercase we write where we know what will be the value of this one from beginning, right? If this is the I want the number colors to be this one, so that I have decided already, so that I have to write in capital letters. Excuse me. But if there is something that needs to be const but that value will be declared at the or that value will be decided at the runtime, in that case you should write with a small case. So for example, page load times, once the page loads, then only dynamically will know that what was the load time for this one. So in those use cases you should use this small case. Then naming things right, these are some rules that you should follow, having a clean name. So you should not write some variable like let let a equals to this and b equals to that. So that is a valid name, but you cannot write this, you should not write this basically, because it will lead to a lot of confusion later, right? So that is what it is saying. And there are some good follow rules that you should use readable names and you should not write abc and all these things. So nothing much on this side. And then there is a quick summary. Let is a modern variable declaration and we are using let all these times, you should write let. Var is a old school method, and using var you can redeclare the variable names that we saw, right? Var name equals to this, then again you can say var name equals to that, but you can't do that with let. And const is like let, but the value cannot be changed. This is the very very basic difference between them. And I think with that we covered this long chapter of variables, and in the next chapter we'll cover what is that data types, right? So with this we completed this section, which is what is this one, we completed the variables 2.4. Thank you for staying connected with the UI guy.